Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to start by talking a little about composition, because I'm hoping that you have brought your own sketches or photographs to do, in which case you might need to do a little adjusting. So if we start with your shape like this. If you're working on a stretched canvas, you can't change the shape of that very easily. So the first thing you have to do is assess. No, the first thing you have to do is to arrange your picture. Okay, we'll do that first and then we'll do the assessment. So you've got your picture like that. Now I'm going to give you certain rules. The thing about these rules is you can break them once you know what you're doing. But if you start off obeying them, you will have more success in the beginning. If you look at quite a few of the Impressionist pictures, for instance, they have broken these rules left, right, and center, and they get fabulous pictures, but they knew what they were doing. Right. So if you divide your canvas, or your piece of paper, for that matter, into thirds, right, and to put the focus of your picture on where they join, there, or there. You put your focus in one of those four places, then you end up with a reasonable picture. For instance, that's nice, quick, isn't it? If you put it there, whatever it is, as your focus, then the eye will look at that, and then you'll do something so that it can happen that way. For instance, you might have a picture where you've got your focus here, but you've done a fabulous piece of painting over here that you really like. Really works. Oh, it's gorgeous, but it's not important. You've got to be ruthless. That's got to go, because it will draw the eye away from the focus. Well, the other thing to do is get rid of that focus, make this your focus, one or the other. I do remember doing a picture where I had it like this. The focus was here, on this line here. And I'd done a gorgeous piece of painting right over here. Just adored it. The sun coming through a hedge, it's absolutely fabulous. I can't paint that out, it's too beautiful. So I left it in, and I left it in. Every time I looked at the picture, it nagged me. It is nice, but. And the minute I painted it out, the picture fell together. So you have to be ruthless if that's what it's going to be. Another one or two tips to take is try not to have things drooping off the end of the picture. So if you've got a mountain, and in your picture it's making a point, either bring the point in and do something over here, or actually straighten the mountain up at the top, make it join more like that sort of thing, not quite as fastidious as that, but you know what I mean, that kind of thing. Or, as I say, if it's an important mountain, and it's like over here, so you bring that up there. So the point is not the edge. The downward slope is not dropping off the end of the picture, if you can manage it. Very often you will have a picture where everything is in straight lines like this. You've got the distant mountains, a beautiful lake, fields in front. You need something to break it. And that something will be the focus. It could be trees, it could be in the distance. Maybe this is fine, and you've got a little yacht here breaking the distance, so it just breaks those lines up. It just makes the picture nice, because lateral pictures are very calming. But lateral pictures where everything does that just takes everybody out of the picture, so there's nothing to see. You need something to break the line at some point, and it can be something as thin as the yacht's mast, or it can be undergrowth in the front. Perhaps you've got a piece of dock here. You know what dock is? Yes. Dock leaf things, yes. And they have great tall spikes coming out of them. So you could have something as simple as that, cutting all the way up. So this is the focus of the picture. Just cuts those lines and it lets people journey around the picture. I think that's enough about composition for today. If we come across anything else, I will go on about that. Okay. What in? Oh yes, yes, yes. Well, I wouldn't base it on the grid, but I wouldn't draw the grid in first. Rachel, do you happen to have a biro? Oh, bless you. Thank you. That's good. Don't use that. That would be right. So this is what I'm doing. Can you see it, Rachel? Such as it is. Now this is not a sketch. It's a drawing I did in about 1979. Right. Okay. And I'm saying it's a drawing. It must have taken me at least an hour and a half. Nowadays, I would do it as a sketch. It take me half so long because I'm much confident about doing the drawing. But in those days, I had to measure everything and put in everything. And I was looking through all the papers and things that I've got to sort out papers for you to work on it, watercolor papers later. And I found this. I thought, I can do something about it. So here it is. Now, the beauty of the sketch is, I did it, I was there, I remember it. And because I drew it, I remember it in more detail than if I just taken a photo. Right? I might have a photo of it somewhere. But in the days when I did that, taking a photo of you was a bit more complicated than this is now. Okay, so I've got this in the distance, and I've got this near at hand as my focus. And behind there is the other side of the lake with trees in it and the sky. And this is the lake here. So I've got it in quite a bit of detail in it. What I need to do to transfer it to this canvas, I'm hoping I can. I think perhaps I better not use it back. It's still tacky.
Yeah.
And if I do that, I will get mess on your thingy. So what I'll do is use paint.
Yeah, no, I don't mind.
No, I'm quite happy using, be confident. Now, one of the beauties of oil painting, or for that matter, acrylic painting, is you can paint it out or scrape it off quite easily. So you don't have to worry about it being madly accurate to begin with. I think I'll start off by using the blue. So of course, this is Prussian, isn't it? Fun. Right. So I've got my tree trunk around here somewhere. I'm not going to paint it in any detail. I'm just putting where it is. That would be, it comes right here and there's something there. Okay. Not a lot of detail. Won't be a lot of detail. Over here, I've got the island. And the island is below the top of that. That comes quite high, actually. It really doesn't matter about this because you're going to paint over it. With a bit of luck can help. There's all kinds of stuff here. Okay, so the island comes about here with the important tree is there. Don't have to put the little ones in because I know it comes to a point there. And then behind that is the other side of the lake. So that goes up there. The other side of the lake. Gosh, this comes up higher. Okay. It's really going to be important, that bit, isn't it? Right. The bottom of the lake comes about there. The far side. Of course, they don't call it a lake. They call it a pond. And we weren't in Texas. We were in New Hampshire. It goes about there. Okay. And then the top of the trees are coming up and down here. And again, up at the end if you can manage it. Right, so that's the sketch. Okay. Right. Well, you've got the picture. It's there. You know, you can see what's there. That's all you need. Because of the brushes you're working with, you're using quite big strokes. Now, what I like to do when I'm oil painting is to get the picture on the canvas roughly in about half an hour, as quickly as I can. So I sort of bash on in a fairly loose fashion, because what I'm going to do is refine it. If I start with it detailed and then refine it, it's going to be so tight it's going to be unable to unfasten. So if you start very loose, you can push lines in, pull lines out, make things darker, make things lighter, because you can work on top of what you're doing. I have to warn you, I painted this on Sunday, because there's another picture underneath, and it's still tacky. Right. It doesn't matter to paint it, but you know, you will find if you're painting in oils, your picture could still be wet by the time you're coming back next week, if the humidity is such that that's what happens. Right, painting in oils. I'm going to put some of this. This is in fact called Zested. It's a substitute for Turps. I get rather high on Turps, so I opted to use this. Now I'm going to start with the sky, and the sky is fairly light, so I'm going to start with quite a daub of white. There, work it down a bit. And I'm going to put a bit of blue in it, not a lot. If you want a light color, you start with painting in oils, you use white. Painting in acrylics, you use white to get lighter colors. Same is true for gouache, if you get as far as gouache. When you're doing watercolor, you don't add white because the paper is the white. So it's a different way of looking at things. Makes life a bit easier, actually. That's quite a nice blue. Maybe I'll go with that blue. You've got to be careful with Russian blue, because he's a beast. Right, now then, where am I going to do it? They've got the tree there, so I can have the bluish sky over here. And I do a sort of crisscross stroke, because I like the energy of it. You don't have to cover everything. You can bring it down over where you think you're going to have the trees. Maybe we could put a little bit of light there, because it does get lighter towards the horizon. Right. Okay, so I've got a bit of blue sky over there. I'll mess up my new easel. So there we are. Perhaps the blue sky breaks through a bit here. If I don't like it, I can take it out. Use a bit more white there. Now, if I'm going to have this bit lighter, I can alter the skyline. Paint over the skyline, that's not a problem. Right. Now, over here, behind this tree, I want this tree to stand out a bit. Not as much as that, but I want it to stand out as a balance, because if you have a balance, again, it improves the quality of the picture. So this is over here. On the other hand, I wanted it to be a nice day, but perhaps a bit windy. It was a windy day because Rachel went sailing. Well, we all went sailing, didn't we? Right, now then, if I put a touch of alizarin in there, it turns it beige. So where can I put that? I can put that here. Coming out really alizarin there, so I'll take a bit more. I think that's because it's on the brush. Right, better. You see what I say? No, it was going wrong. So right. Well, I might decide that that is it's too dark down there. It's lightning. Come on. Lighter. You'll notice that I'm not cleaning the brush between picking up the paint. I want it to meld on the canvas, if at all possible. That way around, you don't get any sharp edges. You don't get sharp edges in the sky. I might decide that that there is wrong and put it up here as well instead. I do like oil paint. It's the one I learnt with in the beginning. It was oil paint, and I just sort of, well, you can see the way I'm standing, just relaxed into it. Right, so the next thing I want to do is suggest those trees in the distance. Now, in actual fact, from this distance, they're probably green, but I'm not going to paint them green because I want them to go back. So I'm going to make them a little, I think that's a bit strong up there. I'm going to make them a little bit darker blue. Might edge them towards the green. Maybe. Supposing we make them slightly darker purple instead of blue. I'm just sort of scribbling. Well, that's a bit dark, so I'll add a bit of white to that. I don't want them. I don't want the shape to be too rigid. They might be rounded shapes, they might be straight shapes, they could be any old shapes. I'm not, this isn't the definitive, it's just getting it down so that I can paint on top of it to suggest whatever it is I want to suggest. Oops, it's a bit fierce. I'm backlit the Shiva. I don't want to make too much of the shape this at the back, but I do want it to have a shape of some kind so that it's I can work into that with with more color. I can even turn them vaguely green if I want to. When I've got the picture down, because all I'm doing now is trying to work out what my color scheme is going to be best exemplified by. Right, now, when I tackle the leg, I've got to think about it. The water will reflect the sky, obviously. But if you want it to lie down, if you want this not to look like it's a wall sticking up in front of you, you either darken the back and gradually come lighter, or you lighten the back and gradually become darker. And I think that would be a better balance for this picture. So if I start off light, see why you have to have a big white when you're painting with oils. I start off with light, and normally when I do water, I do it down. But in this case, because we're right at the back there, I'm going to take it across. It's so far away. I might be putting reflections in, reflections of these trees in the water. I think I'm going to have to take them down, make them a bit more green, but we'll see. I'll take that. Nice. It's a bit strong still. That's because what's his name? Prussian blue is such a beast. It really fights to be important and present. And all the rest of it. We'll make that fairly light. I can get it to. And then as we come forward, we can get darker. And I blur that edge straight off. I don't want it to go off the edge of the picture, so I just blend it in slightly. Right, now then, if I put the island in next, I am going to change the brush because I want to go dark now. So I will use, right, so I'm going to do the island fairly dark. Well, if I'm going to do those trees, which are quite an important part of the picture, I get what I think is a nice foresty green from alizarin, not alizarin, Meridian and burnt sienna. Don't know if that is going to, it's too brown. Let's take a bit more of the green now. And I'm pulling it down from the edge of the, to get the reflections that I want. If you do reflections down, you reflect. There are various putting in the basic shape of the island first. Not worry about the trees in a minute. The island has shape in itself, it rises. So we want it to show up. This is sort of the undergrowth, if you like. It really doesn't matter if some are darker than the others, or just making a suggestion that I know what I'm playing at, if you like. Right. Okay, so I'm going to put those trees in there. A bit like watercolor in this case. I want a reasonable shape to this. So round about here, we have the giving me the straight line I want, but it doesn't matter. This one goes right off. I think it's a Scotch pine actually, or something weird, you know. So there's quite a lot of air and room in it. And they have their own shape. Just sort of suggesting where it is. Right there. And of course, it will reflect when. Won't come right down here because this is on the foreshore, but we'll get there. Right, and then there's another tree here. There's other trees here. These are different colors, but I'll just do them in this for the time being. Where I can get them to break the skyline, I will. But not all of them, because that doesn't help. Come on, you. I see you. The bits down here. Ah. Okay. Then I can use that to suggest a water line. Just put it where it is. Right, now then, go back to this one. I want to get the water in. I'm going to bring the water forward. I'm not sure I want it really blue right at the front. So I add a bit of brown to that. See what happens when I add a bit of brown. That dulls it down quite nicely. Tames it, good Lord. Right, so this part is water. Could perhaps be a little bit bluer, but I can make that happen. This part is water, and it will go onto the shore roundabout there. This rock goes into the water, so it will be that way. So if I get some light, if I can join this up now. Against the clock, this is. Just to get the two to meld together. That is far too sudden a change there. I'm going to have to calm that down. But I can do that in the future. These were made before. Right, where's that? What was the colour I was using? It's over here. Then with the dark brush, get some of the brown and just sort of put in bits of this tree as it's coming down here. Not even trying to paint it properly, I'm just putting it in where it is. And maybe some undergrowth here. Whatever happens, perhaps a little bit of sienna. Oops, wrong sienna. Oh, it's gone quite dark. That's very strange. Darker than I thought. Okay, some lighting. That's better. This is the rock. And we have all kinds of bits of bricks and stuff there. Now, obviously, I want a bit of this color on here. I hope it to help it blend in, you know. I think I'm going to make those a bit greener than they are. These will be brighter than they are. We're getting more or less. And over here, the two mix nicely, or not nicely, depending on how they're feeling. What do I actually think of that? Apart from, isn't it? Ugh. It gives you the basic idea. I do think those purple trees at the back are too purple. I'll probably green them up a bit. If I mix a bit of light from that colour. That's probably a better colour for them. I might, in fact, even start to put some autumn colours there, because you know, you can. Nothing that I put down today is etched on in stone. It's all possible to be changed when. Because you can see, you can just change it if you want to. I think that's pulling the picture together more now. And when I get some of the darker browns on here, which at the moment are refusing to go. Oh yes, there we are. You don't even have to be anything, you just got to be suggested there. I think pour some of the sandy colours in here and make more of that. What I've basically done is got the picture down there. And what I do now is improve on, and if there are any bits you can't see at the moment that I think I want to keep on, this is where you can make that sort of decision.